SharePoint allows the end user to be able to control a good amount of the look and feel of the individual SharePoint site. So the first thing that it allows the user to control is the theme, and then the power users can also control and change the master pages, which are used to render a SharePoint site. And then it can also change, when they're creating new content, the layout, which is just a fancy way of saying it allows them to pick the master pages. So quickly, let's go ahead and dive in and look at how we can change the site theme if I were just an average user. So I might be someone who has administrative or owner permission on this site, which means that I can go ahead and head in to the site settings and actually have an ability to control the site theme. So under look and feel, I then go ahead and select site theme. The site theme is controlled in this list by a CSS file called core.css. As a programmer, you can go and extend the CSS file and create your own custom themes. But for right now, these themes just give you a general feeling of what the different looks and feels of SharePoint can be. And I'm just going to go ahead and pick the simple theme. So please note that when selecting the simple theme, all the colors changed. The layout did not change. The theme only controls the colors, and if layout is defined in CSS, it would change that layout. But the individual content regions are the same as with the default or any other theme. Now when we go in and we start talking about being able to, and I'm going to come back to master pages here in a second, and I want to go and skip to the actual layout because this will help you understand what a master page is. When I jump into and go into my create menu, I have an option to create a basic web page. So by creating a basic page, I then get the option to say I'm going to call this demo.aspx. And I'm going to dump it just in my standard shared documents library. What I'm going to do is actually I'm going to select the web part page and create a new web part page. I'm going to call this layout demo.aspx. Override if already exists, fine. But then what I can actually choose is a layout template. These layout templates allow you to define how the different components on the page are placed. And with each of these then, when I go ahead and create it, I can drop different web parts in it and it'll change the different pieces of functionality. I'm going to go ahead and hit create. And then what you see is that I have these different content regions. So within these content regions, I can then add different web parts. For example, one of the demo lists that we created earlier, the payroll forms, I can add a list of that there. And it'll show me the different documents that I have contained within that list. And then it may be the case that I want to add a message to my users. So I can choose any of these other web parts, either announcements, site aggregator, wraps up content from all the subsites, or I could add different RSS feeds, particularly are interesting, that bring in content from other websites. So once I add these web parts, then I can really control and allow the end user to manage the layout given these constraints. Now, when we get further into this, we'll also demonstrate how these publishing pages can be made more static in that the content that appears in an individual region is more defined and doesn't use a web part, but populates it with content for web publishing. But anyhow, I can get out of this editing mode. But what defined the layout of this page was the master page. So